Star Citizen recently had a massive ship sale and in-game event, Fleet Week. It's one of the most important events for Star Citizen financially each year, along with CitizenCon and the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, October, November, respectively for those two. So, 2020 was a ridiculous year for Star Citizen's funding, with almost $79 million raised through ships and digital sales, and they actually raised a lot more money through sort of like other means as well, whether that be through sponsorships and incentives, or through subscriptions and that sort of stuff too. But we're going to focus on ship sales for this video anyway. 2021 hasn't raised as much month for month in ship sales or digital purchases, nor did it beat Fleet Week sale from the previous year. So today I wanted to talk about how the most recent Fleet Week stacks up, and is funding winding down for Star Citizen? Well, I'll give you a short answer to start with. Not really. It's not really winding down, and Fleet Week seems to have been pretty successful. Firstly, Fleet Week this year was a massive success compared to 2020 in regards to accessibility, stability, and playability of the game Star Citizen. 2020 had massive server issues, which meant players couldn't log in and play, especially at the start of the Fleet Week event. The game had regular server and client crashes as well, even when that was solved, and there are a whole heap of other playability and accessibility problems, along with less gameplay than we have in 2021. So 2021 is still alpha and has a load of bugs and issues, but the servers were pretty stable, people could log on and play, and there was a lot more gameplay. Fleet Week this year had more to it as well, adding more ships to the expo, but we saw the UE fleet expand to include the Bengal Supercarrier, which is a ridiculously sized ship, and we had an internal tour of the mighty Javelin Destroyer, along with its sort of free fly event going on at the same time, and a load of new ships available to try out at the expo halls. It's pretty cool. Lots of stuff to rent and try. However, the amount of funds generated are a bit lower this year. The 2020 event generated just over a whopping $13 million just for the Fleet Week. This year, 2021, it's just under $12 million. That's actually pretty similar. It certainly doesn't suggest that Star Citizen is running out of funding steam, I don't think, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. I actually think it's mostly down to not so many new hype ships being on sale, with this year's event only really seeing the RSI Scorpius as its sort of new surprise ship, and that ship wasn't really a show stealer either. Well, maybe it is if you like the X-Wing and Star Wars, maybe. It's a cool ship. I didn't feel so much hype for it personally, so I'm talking about my bias. And I also think there's an element of last year's Fleet Week was the first time we saw this big UE fleet, and it was new and original, and it was like, oh, wow, this is cool and added to the game. This year is sort of like a iteration and addition to that, but it certainly isn't like entirely new. It's not like, wow. Some of it's like, oh, this is cool, or this is certainly expanded and evolved, but it's not as wow factor as the previous year. Another major reason I think that Cloud Imperium made less money was because they sold less of the larger ships by choice. So they sold the Idris and Javelins and Krakens in waves, in 3 waves, each time they went on sale with Fleet Week this year. They all sold out within seconds they went on sale. However, it does appear that they decided to sell less of these than at the 2020 event. That said, I've only inferred that from sales numbers and figures on those days that they were on sale, and I haven't actually got any form of statement from Cloud Imperium confirming that. I don't have the actual specific numbers of ships, so it's just my assumption there, but it does appear to be the case from my limited research. And these capital ships of extreme value, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 plus taxes, they were only sold to concierge or Chairman's Club members, so backers that had already spent at least $1,000 on their account. Which is odd, as one of the main ways to get into the club previously would have been to buy a capital ship. Bam, you've bought a $2,000 ship as the ship that you want to play the game with, and now you're part of the Chairman's Club. But now you've got to be part of the Chairman's Club before you buy that ship. And don't get me wrong, they still sell out of any amount they've previously listed as quick as graphics cards at Curry's sell out in the UK. That is a very specific life experience scalper joke in the UK. I'm still angry that I don't have my graphics card. 7 months after purchasing a graphics card being in stock, it still doesn't arrive to me. Anyway, back to my capital ship rant. So typically they also sell the same amount of capital ships again to anyone to purchase though. Or at least a big portion of capital ships, the Javelins, the Idris, the Krakens, all that sort of stuff, to anyone. But they just didn't. They didn't this year. Well, at least not that I saw. Please correct me if I'm wrong and they sold and I just didn't notice because I'd already covered the sale for those days. So in 2021, we've seen a sales drop off somewhat in the months between January and the end of May. So in 2020, Star Citizen raised just over 34.1 million in those months. And this year, it's only 30 million. This is around a 12% drop. However, it's still a huge amount of funding and still the second best January, February, March, April, May that the game has ever had in its crowdfunding this year. So bear that in mind. They can't always be sort of like record-breaking months year on year on year on year. Well, they can be. That's not true. But they're not this year, and that doesn't necessarily mean much other than Star Citizen is still getting a huge amount of funding. There are other factors at work here too. CitizenCon 2019 drove a lot of early 2020 hype. The start of the corona pandemic saw a lot of bored people at home with potentially much more disposable income and the need to purchase digital things and play games as they weren't spending it as much in the outside world, though obviously some people lost their jobs as well and some people had less, but I think people that would have typically spent thousands of dollars on spaceships, maybe the same sort of people that are in the position where they go, I must spend more on entertainment while bored. The latest Q1 patch was a bit flat as well in terms of additional content this year. That could have contributed significantly, or at least a bit, towards the bit of sort of sales fall off from last year as well. However, if I was Cloud Imperium's marketing team, I would have seen this event as a massive success, both in-game and financially, and it seems that strange that Cloud Imperium didn't sell more of those capital ships. The exclusivity with them being Chairman's Club only just... it doesn't make sense to me when they can just sell twice the amount to more people without people complaining. In fact, players complain when they don't get access to purchase them. It's possible that the exclusivity and the artificial scarcity is part of Cloud Imperium's longer-term marketing plan that helps drive hype and FOMO sales. However, to me, it looks like they could have had their cake and eaten it too, but are only choosing to serve a relatively small slice of cake at a time. I'm not a fan of pay-to-win or predatory monetization, but for the most part, I don't see that much with Star Citizen in the same way that others might see it. Mainly because you can get everything in-game, and it's this sort of funding, the monetization model that they do have, that makes the game go from realms of massive feature creep and nightmare to a genuinely great game reality where all their features are viable and doable, and they can do them over a certain amount of time. So there's certainly a balance there. Do I think Star Citizen's going to be pay-to-win? Well, it's certainly got pay-to-win elements. I don't think it's going to be a pay-to-win nightmare by any means, seeing that, well, a bit of inequality when the game starts. You're not going to be in one-on-ones in safe systems or anything. Yes, if you want to immediately go to a system that's sort of like more dangerous, high risk and reward, and you've got a better ship, and you're acting solo, then yes, you're probably going to have an advantage over someone that tries to do the same thing in Aurora. But why would you do that? So there's certainly a discussion that could be had with that. I also want to say that $4 million, though, that basically there's a difference between this year and last year. That's only, 2,000 capital ships to Cloud Imperium? Something that they could have easily chose to sell an additional allotment of this year during Fleet Week if they wanted to actually make that up. So it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Anyway, what do you think? Was Fleet Week 2021 successful? Though it made less money than the 2020 year, could 2021 be the best year for Star Citizen's funding in the end? Is the hype in-game dying down from its longer-term players, or is the game still got a load more room to run? Do you think that CitizenCon 2021 is going to drive a huge amount more sales that could catapult it above 2020's sales figures? Do you think that Star Citizen's going to be finished one day and be a fantastic game? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Oh, what's this? I just found all your search history online. You filthy boy, buying spaceships and going on Ship Hub. Zin, show a picture of a sexy ship or something. You should have used NordVPN. It's a VPN, obviously, and it has my seal of approval because I shill for them. Use the links below to get a discount and help protect your data, identity, privacy, and to help with online accessibility. I'm shilling for spaceships today. Do you like building spaceships? Of course you do. JR Fabrication make officially licensed Star Citizen products and Airfix-like model kits. Do you want an Arrow fighter? Maybe a freelancer? Some Cyclone little buggies? Dragonflies, oh my, you can buy them and build them, or just add them to your pile of shame. You want dioramas of ships and vehicles? They've got them too, and they continue to add more to their range. Follow the link down below to jrfabrication.co.uk/board to see all of the wonderful products they have on offer, and use the code BoredInvictus to also get some exclusive Fleet Week recruitment propaganda A3 art prints with each of your orders. Ooh. Every month we have a ship giveaway, and June is no different. We are giving away a Mercury Star Runner to one lucky viewer that comments on one of my videos made during June on the YouTubes. Just get involved in the comment section, ask a question, or tell me what you think about the video or the subject we were discussing. Thank you so much to my channel members who have pressed the join button below my videos, and my Patreons as well. Going the extra mile really, really helps the channel. Say thanks for helping the channel, Zin.
Thanks for helping the channel, Zin.
Consider becoming a channel member or Patreon as well, and maybe you'll get some poorly photoshopped naughty spaceship shots. Ooh, saucy. Thanks for watching and all your support.